Welcome to my Wednesday ramblings. This is the third and final week of the message series, What Does Belonging Mean? This week we get a real sense of what belonging meant for the disciples. For one group, they found that it was difficult, and so they complained and said, "This is intolerable language. How could anyone accept it?" And so they then, after having Jesus spoke to them, tells them that they needed to trust God, to trust in the Spirit of God that was working in them. But they couldn't accept that, and so they left. And so Jesus then turns to the 12 and asks them, "What about you?" And we hear these beautiful words that Peter answers, "Lord, who shall we go to? You have the message of eternal life, and we believe. We know that you are the Holy One of God." Now, we know that Peter didn't always or completely understand what that actually meant. And so we find that in some ways he struggles to be able to live out what that promise means. But he believed it, and he knew what belonging and being part of the story, the message that Jesus was proclaiming, meant to him at that time. He would understand much more, obviously, after the resurrection, but he was able to make that statement. One of the challenges that we have to face is, what does belonging mean to me? What does it really mean when I say that I'm a Christ follower? If someone were to come and say that I was being arrested for being a Christian, would they have enough evidence to convict me? That's the challenge that we have as we're asked to consider, what does belonging mean? Are we able to say yes to all that Jesus asks of us? Are we able to accept all that Jesus promises us? And are we willing to live that in our daily life? It's a challenge. It will always be a challenge. But each day we have the promise that I am the bread of life. He who eats my body will live forever. I'd like to pray that we will take those words to heart and be able to follow Jesus in such a way as to make it real in our world today, so that we may enjoy the fullness of everlasting life. Have a great week. Please take care, and I look forward to seeing you next week on my Wednesday ramblings.